I think of the world so much differently than I did 4 years ago. It's shocking.
Yep.
It's shocking. Like, I had all these ideas in my head that we're going to be fine. And now I'm like, oh my God, you got to figure out how to fucking stockpile food. Like, this could get really wild.
Yeah, and the problem, though, is, okay, all of us people who are at least somewhat awake, and I work from the principle that none of us are more than half awake. I don't know if that's fair, but
I don't know how you could be. We're kind of like, we're hearing people talk inside a building behind a large gate. You know, we don't really have access to the actual conversations. What we see is what they're so bold to discuss in Davos in front of everybody. And you're like, how the fuck are you guys just saying in front of everybody you don't gotta vote anymore? Because they can figure it out in advance. Voting will not be necessary because our accurate models of prediction. Like, what are you saying? And how is that dude from Google just going along with that? Why is he not freaking the fuck out? Going, what? Wait a minute. What are you saying? You won't have to vote because you're going to be able to predict results? And who's going to be in charge of the software that predicts it? Who's going to be the guy that reads the data and tells the world what they want? That's fucking bananas. There's no way voting is in any way bad. The idea that you won't need to vote, there's no way that's in any way good. There's no way that vulnerability, that giving away that much power to whoever counts the vote. I mean, isn't that a famous quote? I forget who said it, but it's not the votes that count, it's who counts the votes. Who said that? Some famous person. It's a great quote because it's absolutely true. And if you've got a fucking computer that you run and you're in charge of the AI that determines what the people want, and then the people in the neighborhood get together and go, hey, man, did you fucking want this? I didn't want this. Who are they talking to? They're not talking to anybody. Joseph Stalin. Wow. The people who cast the votes don't decide an election. The people who count the votes do. Wow.
That's chilling.
And that's a terrifying human being. A terrifying human being that said that because he used that. He used that to his advantage, and millions of people died because of him. But that's what's real. And so when someone's coming along telling you in any way, shape, or form that voting is not necessary, that's bananas. Of course it's necessary. Look, it's the only way we figure out, even just what is voting if it's not organized decision-making and discussion. It's like a consensus that becomes relevant because of all the organized discussion. Because of all the discussion, because of all the people online, because of all the people sharing accurate data, when they come to a conclusion that makes sense and enough people charismatically push that out into the world and say, I should represent you because I have an understanding of these things and I am on your side and this is what I believe. And then you're going to just decide that with AI? That's crazy talk. And the fact that they're just saying that out loud. What the fuck are you saying when no one's around? There's no camera pointed at you because it's got to be wild. If you're coming to these conclusions, if you've normalized the idea of speaking publicly that voting won't be necessary, holy shit, man. What do you say in private? If you've normalized publicly the idea that overpopulation is a major issue, you've organized that. You've said that publicly, and you said that one way to reduce the population would be vaccines. What are you saying? That sounds bananas. You're going to wait a minute. Have you done this before? Oh, turns out they have. Turns out they have used vaccines to try to limit populations. And they've done it unknowingly. These people had no idea they were being experimented on. And they did it in Africa. They gave women sterilizing vaccines, and they hid it. They hid it under the guise of a vaccine to prevent against diseases, and they were giving them HCG. And they were giving them at a dose and in a time period that was going to limit their ability to reproduce or eliminate. They've done that.
I think starting from the premise that these people suck is just, it's good baseline, you know. Your point, I mean, democracy has its problems, right?
Sure.
Voting does not inevitably produce good outcomes. But I think if we take your point from earlier, you can see, is it Churchill who said that democracy is the worst form of government except for all the others?
Yes.
That the point is democracy, as noisy and flawed as it is, has a tendency over time to move in the right direction. And your point about if you are slightly pointed off, you end up in outer space. If you're slightly pointed in a better direction, you actually get there over time. And
Yes.
it's wonderful to increase the rate at which you get in the right direction. But just simply moving in a better direction versus a worse direction is good enough, right?
Yes.
It actually does function. And the antipathy that these rent-seeking elites have for the consent of the governed is appalling, right? They view, because if you put yourself in their mindset, the threat that people who have the threat that democracy poses to your elite plans is must be frightening to them. So they conspire against it, not realizing that they are actually depending on that same force to keep the world stable and improving, and to give them a landscape in which to compete economically.
But they envision a world where they have complete and total control of the population, and you will own nothing, and you'll be happy.
They said the quiet part out loud.
Which is wild.
It is.
Not only did they said it in a way where they had a smiling guy, and you look at all these unhappy people that don't have anything already, and you go, maybe that's the thing. Maybe everybody owns nothing, and then you'll be happy. So if they take it away from all the people that have it, and I don't have it, maybe it'll be better. All these rich people.
I couldn't help but notice that they said, you will own nothing. They
Yes.
didn't say we will own nothing.
Yes,
right?
exactly. There's not we. You
Yeah,
will own
you
nothing.
will own nothing. Oh,
and then
well,
they
thanks for
denied
telling
saying
me.
that, but people had to go to the Wayback Machine and pull it up. They denied saying that.
And that's the thing. They will lie directly to you.
Yeah.
Right? They will just simply say that they didn't say it.